Did you know you can drastically improve your explosive speed by only training 2 times per week? It sounds almost impossible, right? But there's a lot of research to back it up, and the most important part is how you go about your strength and speed training. So in this video, I'll give you the exact method I use for my athletes to make consistent speed and vertical jump gains with minimal training. How quality the sprints and jumps are much more important than how much quantity you do of the sprints and jumps. Let me rephrase this again. Quality is key in this aspect of athletic training. You only need less than 250 meters of sprint training in every workout. An example would be 10 sets of 20 yards. That would be 200 yards of sprinting. You do not need more than that. You don't even need to really go past 150 yards of speed training. Sample X workout would be like 5 sets of 30 meters or 5 sets of 30-yard sprints. You don't need to go past this number and treat it like you have to grind. Grinding is the last thing we want to do when it comes to sprinting or trying to improve your vertical jump or any aspect of athleticism. We want to be as high quality as possible and as little grinding as possible. But I know that's really hard to believe, like you've been taught your entire life that grinding is the most important aspect when it comes to improving anything in life. You hear from people like Gary Vee, from David Goggins, that all you have to do is grind to improve anything you want to do. But I can even show you some research I'll put on the screen right here, and I'll link in the description, that proves to you that you can honestly get more gains than most people by doing little work as possible. Training like a minimalist is what some people might call it. These studies also show that high quality explosive work with high competition is one of the most important factors for your explosive speed. This is also a graph I made. I literally just drew it out where it's going to show you the amount of gains you will make from a 100-meter sprint workout, a 200-meter sprint workout, and a 300-meter sprint workout. This is like how much distance you're running in total. So 10 times 10 or 10 times 20 yards or 10 times 30 yards, and see how the gains slowly keep going down and down, and all of a sudden they plummet once you get closer to the 300 yards area of sprinting. This shows that the quantity of how much sprinting you're doing, and this also can apply for jumps. So how should you break up your speed sessions so you can actually train all the qualities you need to be fast? Acceleration, top end speed, speed endurance, change of direction. How do I actually fit all this in only 2 to 3 workouts a week? Well, in the research I'll put on the screen, you will see that doing these type of workouts over 2 to 3 days is much more effective than the usual template most coaches follow, which is 6 to even sometimes 7 days a week of just trying to fit everything in one type of week. We can actually do it in just 2 to 3 days. So let's use this simple template of 2 to 3 sessions a week. This will include your plyometric session, the sprinting, the jumping, and the strength session. That is all one session itself. And that'll be 2 to 3 times a week. The most important question I'm going to get is how many sprints and jumps should I be doing? Like, what is enough and what is too much, what is too little? I'm gonna break this down right now. The optimal speed session is 120 meters to 200 meters worth of distance. A good example of this would be, for 120 meters would be 6 times 20. And for the 200 meters, it would be 10 times 20 meters worth of sprints. That would equal 200 meters worth of distance in one workout. That does not mean you walk into the track and you run 200 yards and you're done. You do it in reps and sets. And then in the research, it shows the most important aspect to your speed training is competition or timing yourself. So every single rep you do, let's just use the 6 times 20 example, you're going to time yourself or you're going to race someone who is faster than you. This is the competition portion. This will give you the most results out of every single speed session, even if they're faster than you or slower than you. Make it in a way where if they're slower than you, make them start in front of you. If they're faster, make them start behind you. And you guys always kind of like meet at the end, timing like 1-2 steps. You're not burning someone out. You're like barely beating someone. These are going to give you the best results for your speed work. Because like I said, in the research, this shows that it will improve your sprint speed through auto-regulation and the basic of adaptations. If you want to look into that, go ahead. I'm not going to break it down because it's a little bit too advanced for this conversation. But a good example to understand why auto-regulation and adaptation is important is, let's just say you're trying to build your max strength. Would you rather do 5 sets of 1 to 3 reps or 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps? If you're doing high reps, you're not going to improve your strength because you have to go lighter in load. You would actually improve your strength from the 5 sets of 1 to 3 reps because you're doing heavier load, higher intensity for less volume. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the way you treat your max strength training is the same way you should do your speed training. Very, very high amount of sets. It doesn't have to be very high, but 5 to 6 sets, sometimes even 8 sets of low reps, high rest. So a good example of a speed workout you could do today is 6 sets of 20 meters, racing someone or timing your sprints. And if you can't do either, do a resisted sprint. So like you have a sled on you, or you can go up a small incline of a hill, or just run on grass, whatever you can do to try to raise the competition so you're producing as much force as possible. So now we know that treating your speed training like strength work is the best way to improve your speed. But how do we know this is true? How do we actually know how to go about this? Well, in these studies I show on the screen, they will show that 3 sets of 40 will give you much more gains than doing 12 sets of 10-meter sprints, as long as you're timing yourself every workout. So as a tip, I would mix in a little bit of both. Sometimes you're gonna do 4 to 6 sets of some shorter distances, like 10 to 20 yards, and sometimes you're gonna do 3 to 4 sets of longer distances, like 30 to 40 yards. Remember, I would never go past 40 yards. That's because the anaerobic threshold, you cannot produce anaerobic power after 6 seconds, and most people are not running 50 yards faster than 6 seconds. So I just never go past that unless you're running like a 4.4. So I'm going to give you an example of a sample speed workout from the Speed Academy, my most recent membership program that a lot of athletes are getting great results in. The workout is simply 6 times 20 meters resisted sprints, and then we're also going to mix in some jumping plyometrics. If you want to see this free workout where I actually give you all the plyometrics and strength training with that, you click the link in the bio to see the full workout itself. So I already hear in the comments a lot of people complaining that they need more endurance. Your coaches told you you need to be able to run for longer. You run the 100, the 200, you need to be able to handle the end of the race, or you're in football, you need to be able to have endurance to keep doing multiple sprints. And most coaches have this wrong. It's not an aerobic sport. Anything that involves sprinting is anaerobic. So you need to improve the anaerobic threshold or anaerobic endurance. As those are big words, all it means is that you need to improve speed endurance. You do not need to be doing long jogs. You need to be doing long max effort sprints with high rest. So another example you'll see in the Speed Academy is the 20-second drill. So you're running as fast as possible for 20 seconds, and then you're gonna take a 7 to 8 minute rest. And then you want to keep doing those sets until you drop off in velocity by, let's just say, 0.5 seconds, right? So you started off at 20.5 and you went to 20.0. I know that's ridiculous. 20.0, there you go, you're done, right? In terms of like distance covered. And then you would stop based off velocity drop off. So let's say the first 20 yards or the 20-second drill, you made it 100 yards. And then the second time you made it 100 or 95 yards, then you're done. Like that's your last set if your PR was 100 yards. So for the conditioning aspect, anything above 6 seconds is aerobic, which is not anaerobic anymore. You're not improving power and explosiveness. So you need to be very careful with the way you do the sprints. I suggest doing, like I said before, an example, a long sprint, usually around 120, usually around 60 yards to 200 yards with high rest, not a lot of sets, maybe 4 to 5 sets, maybe even 2 to 3, honestly. And then for your true speed development, improving raw explosiveness, we're going to stay under 6 seconds, which is usually going to be 40 yards or under in terms of the distance you're covering for your sprint training. And then obviously we're focusing on these high quality workouts in a short frequency. So only 2 to 3 times a week. We're not doing 6 to 7 times a week ever. We're not ever crossing even 4 for our speed training. And then last off is I want to give you some exercises that you'll see in the Speed Academy. Some very, high potent exercises. So if you're a little bit injured right now, not jump straight to these. The first one is going to be bounds. You're simply going to cover as much distance as possible and keep popping off the ground like you're being a pogo or like the floor is lava. This is going to improve your single leg bounce and your ankle stiffness and your reactive strength index, which is all things that are very important for your sprint speed. The next one is hurdle hops. You're going to be going over a hurdle. If you don't have a hurdle, use cones or paper or anything where it's teaching you how to produce force in a horizontal momentum, and then you have to also decelerate that force and react off the ground. This is going to do wonders for your ankle stiffness, your reactive strength index. All these drills are honestly improving the same things, but in different ways. They're all going to improve your sprint speed. Also going to improve vertical force, which is also really important. And the last one will be resisted jump variations. You want to do 10 to 20% of your body weight, but if you have band resistance, someone who can hold you down, or a setup that you see right here, that's going to be the most important way because you're going to get the reversal strength at the bottom. This is really important for getting out the amortization phase of the stress shortening cycle. But you're also going to develop your stress shortening cycle and vertical power in general because the ground contact times are going to be fast and you're going to be having resistance. So it's a good way to train speed strength and optimal power. Never go past 20%. That's because you're going to change biomechanical methods of how you produce force. So if you go way heavier, you're gonna develop compensations is the best way to explain it, right? So keep it light, stuff like broad jumps, resisted sprints, or resisted, split stance jumps, or regular jumps, even resisted pogos are all going to be literal game changers, especially if you feel strong but not athletic. And if you also feel weak and not athletic, these are going to be things you need to start incorporating as soon as possible. But now that you have honestly the ultimate guide for improving your sprint speed, the first thing I want you to do is check out the Speed Academy. I do all these methods programmed for you in the Speed Academy. It's a monthly membership. You click right here to try to sign up if you are ready for it. I suggest that if you want to transform your sprint speed, that the Speed Academy is the #1 program online. I've seen all the top coaches. I've talked to them. I've worked with guys who are in 10.2. I've been mentored by an NFL speed trainer, by an Olympic speed coach. Like, I have done the trenches work, and I've put together the most ultimate 12-month method for you to transform your sprint speed. From very beginning to the very end, you go through the full 12-month cycle, and then you can also do it again. It's just like you train with an in-person coach, but you're doing it for so much cheaper and online at the comfort of your own home or at a gym that you have nearby. So I truly do believe in this program, and I do believe that it can transform any athlete and anyone's sprint speed, no matter the genetics, no matter the height, no matter what circumstances you're under. You can transform your sprint speed with the Speed Academy. And you can also check out this video right here.